In this video, I'm going to go over the review part 2, questions 9 through 16. Number 9, we're talking about Delilah and her collection of data over her tomato plant. And we're asked, the first part is to determine the type of correlation. I can see here the values are increasing as well as the Y values. They're both increasing. It's going to be positive. And if you cannot tell by the data, it's okay, because we're going to input this into the list and spreadsheets, and we'll be able to see through our list and spreadsheets if it's positive, negative, or none. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and go to list and spreadsheets. You want to make sure you label your X column as well as your Y column, and then input your values. So my days are going to be my X values. You need to make sure you put all of them in. My leaves are the Y values. So I have them in. Control Doc, I go to option 1 for add a calculator, and then it's menu, statistics, option 6, stat calculations 1, and then option 3 for linear regression. Type your X and your Y, enter, and we get our values. So here I can see the M would be my slope, the B is my intercept, and the R1 is positive, so it's a positive correlation. The equation from my list and spreadsheets, M is 2.25x, my B value is 13. Identify and interpret the correlation coefficient, that's the R value. It is a positive 1, so it says close to a negative 1 is a strong negative, positive 1 is a strong positive, so this would be a 1, and it is a strong positive. Okay. Two variables have a correlation coefficient. This R is a 0.2. That is positive, but it's not really close to a whole 1. So this would be a weak positive. Then the second one, number 11, we have a correlation coefficient of negative 0.75. That's close to negative 1. So this would be a strong negative. So you're going to see a question like one of these on your test. You'll need to know if it's strong or weak, positive or negative. So you'll know right away if it's positive or negative. Just close to negative 1 or a positive 1 is strong. If it's closer to 0, it's weak. So I'll add that in. Okay. 12, does the correlation reflect a causal relationship or association? Causal is going to be, it has that cause and effect. Because of this, this other thing is taking place. So for part A, as the weather gets hotter, more bottled water is consumed. As it gets hot, we do tend to drink more water, but it is not causing bottled water to be consumed. So this would be an association. As obesity rate increased, computer uses also increased. Once again, there is an association here, but obesity is not caused by computer usage, but there is an association. The height of students versus vocabulary size in grades K through 5. There is not, your height does not cause you to have a certain vocabulary size. Here they may see an association, but it's not making, your height doesn't make or break your vocabulary size. The price of a limited edition toy increases as demand increases. This is your law of supply and demand, and this would be a cause and effect relationship. This is our causal. If you have something that's limited it's going to cost a lot more to obtain it, especially if a lot of people want it. So they'll raise the price. 13, we are using this graph to estimate how much Spot's weight's going to be after 18 months. So we have a scatter plot, and we're going to draw a line of best fit. Remember, your line does not have to go through the origin, but you kind of want it to be surrounded by as many points as possible, kind of equally. And then here it's going to go off the graph, and that's okay. So this is 14, 16, 18 is about right here. So if I come up and look about where would that fall, I can see it's just under where my 35 would be. And the only answer choice I have that would be under 35 is 32. And then the last two here, which equation of a line passes through this point and this slope? Our point slope formula is going to come handy. So I'm going to take my point, this is my x1 and my y1, and my slope is my m value. And I'm going to input that into the equation. So this would be y minus my y1, which is 5, equals my slope, which is negative 1/3, times x minus the negative 3. And yes, that minus negative turns into a plus. Okay? From here, you have two choices. One, you should know if this is our slope, I have to have it in my answer choice. So B has a positive 1/3, not a negative. It's not B. A's there. Okay. So if you're not strong in your algebraic skills, distributing and then going and adding 5 to both sides may not be your best bet. So you would graph them and see which one gave you the same line. If you were to distribute, when you distribute the negative 1/3 into the parentheses, that leaves you with y minus 5 equals negative 1/3 x minus 1. And when you add the 5 to both sides, that leaves you with y equals negative 1/3 x plus 4, which would be answer C. Once again, if you weren't 100% sure, you could graph this. You would have to graph it as a relation, and you would type in your information in that point slope form, equals negative 1/3 parenthesis x plus 3. And then you would type in those answer choices to see which one gave you a graph that matched. So I'm just going to skip to the answer choice C so we can see the lines overlap, confirming the answer. The other thing that you can do, if you didn't use the formula here, but you know these are the two conditions. So if I look at 16, another alternative method using the calculator under graphs, I would graph it as a relation. I'll go here with option 1. This is 2x plus 3y equals negative 6. Here I can see my slope is negative, but to confirm it, I would do menu, analyze, and then 5 for dy dx. And that negative, it tells me my slope here is negative 0.667. If you're not quite sure if that's the same, once again, using your calculator, just type in your slope, negative 2/3, control divide. I see the slopes are the same. I'm going to go back to my graph. If I want to know if it's going through the point negative 1, 2, or 1, negative 2, I could look on the screen, or I could do menu trace, graph trace, and then I would I would type the x value of 1, enter, and it tells me it's going through 1, negative 2.67, so not quite. So though it has the same slope and it's really close, it's not the answer I'm looking for. Okay, and then you could, of course, go to the next answer choice. So here I see my slope is positive, it's going up, and it's not negative, so I don't need to do any more work there. I'll go to the next problem. This one's 2x minus 3y equals -7. Same thing, my slope is increasing. So it's not C. I go to my last one. This would be 2x plus 3y equals -4. My slope's negative. I could do menu, analyze, dy dx is 5. I get that same decimal, so I know the slope is good. I just need to make sure it goes through that 1, -2. It looks like it, but remember, we want to make sure. So I go menu 5 for trace, 1 graph trace, and I can see it remembered. It does have that point. So a few choices when you get to a question like 15 and 16. You can use the formula, and you can also use your calculator.